Hello everyone, this is Dee. In my previous videos, I said that I would address some things dealing with uh, being pro-black. One of the things that I really wanted to address, something that's kind of just, I don't know, it's gotten next to me because I realize that everybody has their opinion about interracial people, biracial people. Um, I was just watching this documentary, and it really kind of upset me because I'm looking at these children talking about and discussing, how they were treated in the black community, and also in the white community, but mostly in the black community because they were biracial or interracial. And I'm just going to go ahead and put it out there. I grew up in an interracial family myself. I myself am not biracial. When I, excuse me, when I did the My Heritage, I think it's called My Heritage and 23andMe, I found that my family is, or I am, 85% Nigerian, and then there's some other factors of a smaller, I'd say it was like 83% Nigerian. Then there was a smaller factor of other sub-Saharan African nations in there. And then I think it was like 2%. Then also the breakdown was 1% um, uh, middle, some 1% Middle Asian, which it didn't really break that down. But then there was, which that's 84, 83, then 2% that was 85, then the 1% that's 86, and then there was 14% European, most of it in Ireland. Um, I do not look like a white person, period. I am a black woman. I've lived my life as a black person. I identify with my black community. I am very much a proponent of education, higher education. I encourage people to travel. I encourage young people not only to get their education, I encourage them to get away from the city you grew up in. Go see the world for yourself. Because the news media, the media, the entertainment that you see, it's not going to give you a true view of what the world looks like. So go see the world for yourself and make some determinations about where you fit in this world. This whole big world that God created for us, where do you fit in the world? Not in this little small town or even a big city. God created so much more. There's so much diversity in nature. There's so much diversity in people. There's so much diversity, period, how we live and where we live. Before you get married, before you settle down in your life, go out, explore, find yourself, see who you are, enjoy the world, live, love, and laugh, and then come back. Go to school. You can do some of these things while you're in school. Go to school, get a good job, get yourself a home, and get yourself a vehicle, and then you're ready to enter into a relationship with someone. But first, take care of yourself. Take care of you. Give yourself a chance to live and love and play, and then come home and then make some decisions, some hard decisions about how you're going to live your life from that point on. I encourage people to travel. I traveled to Nigeria, and when I tell you that it was a life-changing experience, it gave me a sense of pride for where I live, for my country. Because a lot of the things that we take for granted in this country, we take it for granted because we don't know what it looks like somewhere else in the world. We just know our own little, corner, our own little city, our own little state. We only know what we know that's here. We don't have anything else to kind of bounce it against and make a determination of what the world looks like so that we can appreciate what we have or what we don't have. And it gave me a sense of determination and vigor. And when I came home, man, I wanted to work 10 jobs because I was so thankful that I could. In other places in the world, it's not that they don't want to work. Sometimes the jobs are just not there. If you don't know somebody, if you don't grease somebody's palm, the jobs are just not there. But that's just I encourage people to get out and explore the world, because you can't make a real good decision about who you are and where you fit in this world until you explore the world, and then you can make that determination. I was watching this documentary, and it was called The Other Race. And I passed by it a couple of times. Every time I looked at it, I was like, I really don't want to get into that because I know it's dealing with interracial people. And that's kind of a sore spot for me, because even though I believe and love my black people, and I cry and I pray that we can be a strong nation of people, I'm sad and I'm upset at times because as black people, we don't always do everything that we need to do to secure who and what we are. And before I go any further, I'm just going to say this. Normally, I would say I'm sorry about what I'm about to say because I know it's going to make somebody mad. But today, I'm not going to say that. I am not going to say I'm sorry in advance. I refuse to apologize for someone getting mad because you have chosen to accept your opinion and your views, whether they're right or wrong. So no, I'm entitled to my opinion, and I know God already knows somebody gonna come on here and call me a bed wench and all this other stuff. First of all, you a true gangster, cause you on YouTube. All y'all YouTube gangsters out there. I'm gonna go and put it out there. I'm gonna call your bluff today, buddy. All y'all YouTube gangsters out there that love to get on people's page and troll and call them bed wenches and everything else. Do you know how little you are as a person? That's the only thing you can do is just get on somebody's page and call them a bed wench. First of all, if you really had an understanding of where that terminology come from, you calling somebody a bed wench, you probably a bed wench yourself. Because basically, it's like saying you a sellout. You saying that I'm sleeping with the enemy, and therefore I'm a sellout. But let me throw some knowledge your way. If you are not part of the solution, you are always part of the problem. So if you're not trying to figure out a way to make our people, black people, African American people, better people, guess what? Guess what? Guess what you are? You're not part of the solution, so you are definitely part of the problem. So if we're gonna throw nasty little terms, terminologies, and words and phrases at each other, let's just say this. If I'm a bad wench, you want to. We're gonna both be bad wenches today, honey. We're gonna both be bad wenches today. If I'm a bad wench, you are too. Because I know what the problem is, and I desperately seek a solution for the problem. But what about you? What are you doing? What are you doing? Huh? What are you doing? So if you're not doing anything to help solve the problem that we as black people have, because as I've stated before, I am a mother of 5 black children that I raised mostly by myself. None of them are in jail. They're not out there bashing people over the head. They're good, honest, hardworking citizens, and they love people, and they're out there encouraging their friends and family members to do good and to be, good representatives of the black community. What have you done? If you haven't added anything to this overall problem, please just hush. Please hush. Take your bad wench and all that other stuff and go somewhere else and play on somebody else's page. Because you can play with me if you want to, but honey, I can talk all day. I got it for you. I really got it for you. So if you want it, come get it because I got it for you. Moving on. I just had to put that out there because I see how people go in on these other pages, and I'm not finna sit up here. I can talk just as professional as the next person. I can put on my little, in the in the office voice and talk as professional as the next person. But here's the deal. I'm comfortable right now. I'm going to talk in a very comfortable manner, and I'm going to address some topics in a very comfortable and relaxed manner. I can be very business and professional, but I can also be, I'm not going to say ratchet because I've never been a ratchet person, but I can get right, I can stand toe to toe with you and go word for word. I grew up during a time when if you couldn't joan, you was messed up. You had to be able to go with it. You had to be able to stand up for what was yours. You couldn't let nobody push you around, and I never have. I am 4'11", and I have never in my life let nobody push me around. I don't care if you 6'5". I don't care if you 5'9". Nobody has ever pushed me around. My thoughts, my opinion are mine, and if somebody doesn't like it, they can always move over to the next page. And as I was saying, let's move on. So, first of all, I want to, I like, I love education. I love education because before you can address something, and this show, the whole issue with Phil Scott at The Advice Show, the whole issue was the fact that he hid a part of his life that was very poignant and very important regarding the topics that he discusses. So, because he hid it, if he had come out and said, this is what happened in my past, this is the decision I made. I married a white, Mexican, whatever woman, and I love her. She loves me. She supports me. She's here for me, and I'm there for her. Now, if anybody got a problem with someone loving and being supported by who they perceive to be their mate, you got issues, honey, because we can't all marry the same kind of people. I'm sorry. Unfortunately, I just don't believe God created us to all just marry one type of people, because let me propose something to you. If God created all of us to just stay in our lane, why would he open the doors for us to be able to interact with anybody else on another continent? Regardless of how the interaction came about, I just don't feel that God would have allowed that, because in his infinite wisdom and mercy, if he wanted us to just stay, secluded and just be black people with black people, God has that kind of power to make that happen. Or he would have put it deep down in our spirit that we would not have the desire at all. You don't see cats and dogs mating. You might see them hunch, because animals will hunch on anything. But you don't see them mating and creating a half cat, half dog. So I don't know. It's something in me that I look at things in a bigger. I look at things not just what I see, but I'm always looking deeper into a question, because I want to know what's the question behind the question, and then what's the question behind that. So first of all, I want to say, let me define racism, because I think what a lot of people are not understanding is that when you point out somebody because they're different from you and you don't like it, you're actually just as bad as those people who you feel are oppressing you, because now you're oppressing somebody else. Okay, the definition of a racist. A racist is a person who shows or feels discrimination or prejudice against people of other races, or who believes that a particular race is superior to another. Those who are racist against those who cannot control their origins are just as bad as white supremacists who try to oppress and subjugate black people. When we look at an interracial couple and we look at their children, those children cannot control their origins, period. And for a person to have a problem with the child, a product of an interracial relationship, that is I'm sorry, but you're wrong. You're just wrong. If God allowed it, who are you to pass judgment on that person? Because I have to always go back to God. God is powerful enough that if he doesn't want something to happen, he won't allow it to happen. If he doesn't, if he absolutely says no to a thing, he will not allow it to happen. So For us to even keep having this conversation about interracial, I kind of want, I'm wondering, what is the big deal? Yes, there are going to be people who are going to stay with black. There are going to be people who are going to actively seek to be with a black person. But there are also going to be those who actively seek to be with something or someone else. It doesn't mean that black is not good. It just means it's not right for that person. And I don't see anything wrong with that because we all have the freedom to choose what we want and what makes us happy. Is that not ultimately the cause? Is that not ultimately why we live? I'm not living for the next person. I'm living for myself. So for somebody to try to tell me what I can and cannot do, that kind of pisses me off. And people can sit on YouTube and say whatever they want to say. You got a mouth, you got a mind. You can say whatever you want to say about interracial, about swirling, about all this other stuff. You can say whatever you want to say, and guess what? I'm not mad at you for saying that. I will listen to your content. I will listen to it. I will take it in. I'll take some of it in because you might have some key points that do make sense, coming from your point of view. But guess what? That's your point of view. That doesn't mean that you're right. We can all make point of views, but it doesn't necessarily mean that you're right. Black people should be the most understanding of all people because of the way our people have been treated historically. Historically. We should never target another minority. If we are the people we say we are, why don't we lead by example? I am personally disgusted by those who try to bash interracial people. Interracial people are a growing minority. I don't understand why people are so quick to put interracial people down or to say, and I overheard one YouTuber say these exact words: if a child is born to an interracial couple and that child is not raised by the black family, that she would not have anything to do with that child. Wow. Wow. That when I heard that, I don't, hey, you can say what you want to say, you can think how you want to think. But I'm gonna tell you something. God have a way of humbling us. And the very people that we push against and kick against and talk bad about, sometimes he will put us in a position where we have to, lean on them for support, or they help us in some kind of way. He'll bring you down to your lowest low, and the only person you see when you look up is that which you despise. So, I would be careful about making statements like that. You can make whatever statement you want to make, but let me speak from some wisdom, honey. Let me speak from some wisdom. I grew up in that type of environment, where people were like, because on my mother's side of the family, people were very much, "Ooh, white devil, white devil, white devil." I watched my mama be abused and beat down like nobody's business when I was a little bitty girl. I saw her being tormented. And she was tormented by my black father. And that left a really, that left a real deep groove in my heart, because I'm watching this man who is my biological father assault my mom in such an egregious way. It was just, even to this day, to think about it is hard. It's hard. It's really, I can't, I'm 42 years old, and I remember all the way back to when I was 4 years old, watching my mother be assaulted, terrorized. And we can all agree to disagree. And I'm gonna, this is my I don't give a rat's behind what you think moment. If a person is being mistreated by someone, and that person has the same skin color, same skin tone as they do, and they decide to go somewhere else, Not you and nobody else have a right to say not one thing about that. And y'all and all of y'all that have this same world view of, black people need to do this, black people need to do that, da 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 da. You need to stop and you need to think about what you're saying, because you're telling some black person, woman or man or woman, boy or girl, that even if you in a bad relationship, and that whether you say it, that's what you're saying. Whether you say those exact words or not, that's what you're saying. Because that's how that person feels. That person feels like you are telling them, okay, this ass whooping I got, this beat down I got, I need to keep going through this because you don't think it's right for me to go out there and find somebody who will hug me, love on me, kiss me, and tell me it's going to be okay, and tell me I'm beautiful, and tell me I don't deserve to be treated like that. So before you put your little 2 cents out there, why don't you do some research and find out why people jump ship, why they leave camp? Because a lot of times when people jump ship and leave camp, it's not just because they think something over there is prettier. It's because they have been abused and mistreated by their own. And so they decide to go find something that's not going to abuse them or mistreat them. I have a friend who lives in Sweden. This man is one of the most talented artists I've ever seen in my life. He was talented when we were kids. He's always been extremely talented. And that child got treated like garbage in school by his own black people. He didn't have money. Often he had bad hygiene. I don't know what his life was like at home, but I can only imagine it wasn't good because of the way he presented himself at school. And I felt for this guy because he was a nice guy. He was a dorky, silly guy who was tall and lanky and just crazy. He was just funny, but he had some bad things going on in his life. And he was going through, and there was no compassion for him. That man married a white woman. He got 2 kids. They live in Sweden. He said he would never come back to the United States. And I don't blame him. I don't blame him. And every now and again, I give him a thumbs up. I holler at him and let him know, I'm so proud of you. I thank God that you have, your life has changed for the better. You seem like you are so happy. I watched this kid be tormented and terrorized by us. By us. And for those of you who sit on your high horse and look down at those who choose to go to the other side, oh God, please. You can't sit there and pass judgment on somebody because they choose to be treated better. You can't do that. I'm sorry. Y'all can say what y'all want to say about me. I don't care. I don't. Because I'm going to tell the truth and shame the devil whether y'all want me to or not. And if you don't like it, then there must be something wrong with you. Because if you can hear that somebody was tortured, tormented, and mistreated by their own, and they decided to go somewhere else because they couldn't take it anymore, and you still walk around with your high and mighty attitude, then that lets me know what type of person you are. That lets me know that what you're speaking is not truth. You're biased. You are racist because you're racist against your own people. Because you don't want somebody else to be happy. You just want them to do what you think is right. And guess what? Because you're not God, what you think doesn't really matter in someone else's life. Your thought and your perception and how you feel might be good for your life, but it may not be good for somebody else. So moving on, what do you expect to change by objecting to interracial people? What do you expect to change? What do you expect to change? Black people should be the most understanding people. We should be able to look at someone else's plight and feel sympathy, empathy for those people. We should be empathetic towards people. We shouldn't be sitting around here trying to figure out a way to tear somebody else down. Aren't we being torn down by somebody else? So what are we going to do? We being bullied, so we're going to bully somebody else? That is ridiculous. Come on. What are you expecting to change? What do you expect to change by objecting to the existence of interracial people or interracial relationships? What do you expect to change? Everybody can't make the same decision, and everybody is not the same. What does your objection to interracial people create in this big world we live in? What does your objection create? Is your objection really rooted and grounded in sound, you know, philosophy, sound understanding, sound ideology, or are you just ranting and saying what you think, how you feel, and what you want because you think that? Are you a psychologist? Have you done any psychological studies? Do you know what it feels like to be oppressed, abused, mistreated, belittled, downrated, torn apart physically, mentally, and spiritually by your own? Because if you didn't grow up like that, you can't speak for somebody else who did. Basically, you're speaking from your own worldview, and your worldview might be slightly or highly askew. Why would you have a problem with something that God Himself allowed? If God allowed interracial relationships and their children to come into existence, who are you to tell God that He is wrong? I I love the fact that people have an opinion in their own views. I love that. I'm a very opinionated person myself. I'm very opinionated. I often go for I'm often fighting for the little man. I'm often fighting for the little man, unless the little man is just wrong, wrong, wrong. I ain't gonna get in on that. But if God allows it, who are you to judge it? Because while you judging somebody else, what's going on in your life that can be judged? We spend a little bit of time talking about Tasha K and her foolishness, talking about Phil Scott and his foolishness, Lovely T to in a certain extent in her foolishness, and all of the little and I'm not gonna say YouTubers, all of the not the little, all of the YouTubers who colluded with them. We talked about their foolishness. Let's talk about your foolishness. Who are you to object with God Himself? So you are so much bigger than God that you can say who can and can't do a thing. I think not. That's your own personal opinion, your own personal views. What your own personal views are, you can't project onto other people because what works for you may not work for somebody else. As I said before, I'm going to tell the truth, and if you're wrong, you're just wrong. And the reality of life is, in order to grow as a person, you have to be able to say, okay, yeah, maybe I was wrong about that. Maybe I need to look into that and get a better understanding. And if you can't do that, then you're not a legitimate person. You're just a mouth. You're just a mouth who goes off and says whatever you want to say. You don't care how you hurt people. You don't care how you make other people feel. You just say what you want to say. But let me tell you, sweetheart, the seed you sow, you shall also reap. And the people that you step over as you walking through your life may also be the people that look down on you when you're in need at some point in time in your life. Keep living. If you don't think anything bad is ever going to happen in your life, please keep living, because you might be on top of the world today, but look at Bill Cosby. Bill Cosby is not on top of the world. That was one of the richest black men in the world. Bill Cosby is not on top of the world right now. And I bet you anything, he never, ever, ever thought in his life that he would be where he is today. I'm just saying. Um, are you being authentic and truthful if you are bashing another group of people because of their skin color and their lineage? I pause for that because isn't that the reason why black people have a problem with white oppressors? Because they're bashing who we are as a people, our skin color, our lineage. They try to belittle us. They try to subjugate us. They try to oppress us. They try to demoralize us. They try to tear us down. They try to make what's black not beautiful. So it's okay for black people to rant, rave, oppress, tear down, talk about, mistreat interracial people, but it's not okay for white oppressors to do it to black people. I'm just going to put that question out there because the reality is it's a question that needs to be asked. How does a black person putting down the next minority, regardless of who it is, even if it is interracial people, God allowed it, so who are you to weigh in on it? Are you God? Can you change anything? Can you blink your eye? Can you snap your finger and change anything? If you can't, why don't you worry about what's going on in your community and fix your community? Take your negativity, spin it around, and turn it into positivity, and invest some of your time into your community and fix the things that you see in your community. Because that's where you can best help people. But getting online or just having rants and raves and talking smack about people, that ain't helping nobody. All that's doing is tearing more people down. People who are already struggling. So you are no better than a white oppressor. Moving on, I'm just gonna say it. If you bashing another group of people, interracial or another race, you are no better than a white supremacist because you think you are better than those people you bashing. And guess what? You just became the bully. You were being bullied. We being bullied as a people, but now you want to become a bully and bully somebody else. You are not legitimate. You have been delegitimized because you're not right. What's the difference between a black racist and a white racist when you are both doing the same thing? And that's what I was just saying. You're not legitimate. You're not legitimate. If you start bashing somebody else because they're different from you or because you don't agree with them, white people don't agree with our existence. Some of the white racist supremacists, they don't agree with our existence. They don't agree with us. They don't want us to prosper. They don't want anything good in our lives. So now you stepping in and taking that same role, but you're looking at interracial people. And guess what? You're wrong. Stop it. Please stop. Because what you're doing is disingenuous, it's silly, it's wrong. Instead of you taking that negative energy and focusing on building up your community and building up people, you trying to tear down a people. And guess what? That makes you just like the people that you're speaking against. It makes you just like the people that you're speaking against when you're doing the exact same thing to somebody else. My summation. Those people who are prejudiced and racist against interracial people should look in the mirror. You are doing the exact same thing as the white supremacists you speak against. Has anyone ever asked the question if maybe God is not trying to reblend us back to our origins? Because if we all came from the same source, that means we was all once the same people. Okay? Have anybody thought about that now before we start migrating out? Because yes, they have linked the oldest human being to Africa. So that means that if we're all humans, then that means we all came from Africa at one point in time or another. And we just branched out and went in our different ways. So you mean to tell me that we originated at the same, we came from the original source and we all branched out, and over the years we've had our changes, differences, or whatever. So maybe God is trying to reblend us back to our origins. How do we know? We don't know if that may be what he's doing. I don't even know if anybody's ever thought about that or talked about it. I'm stating it. That's something everybody need to ask the question. Is it possible that God is taking us back to the same source where we all originated from in the beginning? Is that possible? And if that is the case, then that means you're going against God's will because you're saying it's wrong. Hey, I don't care who you are. When you start trying to go against God's will, you're wrong. You're out. Next. You're wrong. You're not going to be right, and ain't nothing you do or say going to stop what God's will is. We don't know that it's God's will, but who's to say that it isn't? We need to discuss the respect for all mankind. We need to find truth for ourselves before we point out the faults in others. Instead of spending so much time trying to tear each other down, we need to look for ways to help build our communities and also help build our neighbors. Because the reality is, God told us, Jesus told us to love ye one another as I love you. That's what he told us to do before he left. That was the greatest commandment, to love one another. All of this dissension talk, all of this, interracial this, biracial that, yada, 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 pro-black this, I'm not mad at anybody for their thoughts, their views, or their ideologies. I'm not mad at you for that. I don't care. You can actually think or view whatever you think or view, as long as you don't step out of the role of thinking and viewing and saying and start acting in a negative way against other people. With that being said, you know, we need to focus on building each other up, not tearing each other down. If you're not a builder and all you're doing is tearing other people down, then you're just as bad as the white supremacists that you're speaking about. I'm sorry. And then somebody need to point that out to you so you can get that out your spirit and focus on trying to love other people and figuring out a way how we can work together to build each other up as a humankind, as a mankind, as a womankind. That's what we need to be focused on. Because the numbers say that the number of white people in the United States of America are decreasing. And worldwide, their numbers are decreasing. So y'all worrying about something that God may already be fixing himself. Y'all worried about, I'm not saying that we don't need to worry about the black community. I'm not saying that. But I'm saying that God himself may already be weeding out the mess. We don't know. What we need to do is focus on building ourselves up and helping our neighbors. Those who help us, let's help them. Because guess what? When we work together, we all win. We all win. As always, this is my rant. I'm going to speak my views, whether anybody like it or not. I don't care. I don't care. I'm not gonna care. I ain't finna get mad at you. I'm not gonna battle with you. We ain't gonna have no beef because it's not even that kind of thing. I'm just saying what I want to say. I'm gonna do a little bit of research before I say it because I'm gonna come at you with some facts. Now, the video that I was speaking about, The Other Race, it was a documentary that was done March 30, 2017. I'm gonna leave the links in my comment section so you can go check that out yourself. It kind of brought me to tears because I hate to think of children being mistreated by people because of their own sick views. Don't be mistreating kids. They grown now, but still, you messing with somebody's life when you mistreat them and make them feel bad or like they shouldn't be because you got problems in your own head, so you want to take that out on the child. Where I come from, you mess with kids if you want to. Somebody gonna get that butt. You gonna have problems in your life. Okay, just a little bit of housekeeping. Please do not come to this page thinking you are going to be disrespectful or behave in a ridiculous manner. I do not do foolishness on any level. Period, point blank, exclamation point, and always with a smiley face. Please do not come to this page thinking you are going to bash anyone over here. If I see it, you will be politely escorted out. I expect grown-ups to behave like adults and not like kids. If you don't like the content, thanks for stopping by, but you are not forced to stay. So leave if you feel that you need to do so. Thanks so much for stopping by, and I look forward to your feedback. Hey, if you got something to say it. I'm not mad at you. I'm not going to be mad at you for making your case. I'm not going to do that. I'm just saying, in making your case, do it in an educated way, in a way that makes sense so that other people can look and see where you're coming from and say, okay, well, yeah, she or he got a point. Yeah, that makes sense, But don't come over here acting like Billy Bad, Billy Bad. We're not finna do that. Nope. Nope. Ain't gonna be no bullying because I don't do bullies. When I was a kid, I used to bully the bullies. Yes, I did. I was short, but I would go toe to toe with them because I hated to see the little person being picked on. They used to make me mad. They used to piss me off. And right now, today, as an adult, I go for anybody who needs help, support, anybody who needs somebody to stand up for them or help them to try to figure things out. I will always help people. I don't do bullies though, because a bully to me is a coward. And I don't do cowards, I don't do liars, and I don't do bullies. I thank you guys for listening to me. Y'all have a blessed day and bye bye.